What's going on, guys? TheDrunkItalian here. In this video, I'm going to share my thoughts that I had when I was watching the new NHL16 Be a GM mode trailer released earlier today. For me personally, Be a GM in NHL15 was kind of unplayable. I picked it up a few times, I tried to get into it, but it just didn't hook me the way that NHL14's Be a GM mode did. So in NHL16, it seems that there are a bunch of features rolled over from NHL15, as well as a few features that were missing in NHL15 that are being brought back to the series that were in NHL14. These are things like the in-game simulation and the ability to take control over your AHL roster in addition to your NHL roster. So it's not a huge improvement, but the one new feature that EA was preaching in their trailer was the new player morale system. So although there doesn't seem to be a huge improvement over NHL 15 overall, the returning features from the past two games, as well as the new player morale system, should make it enough to make Be a GM mode playable again. So we're going to go through the trailer, and I'm going to give you my thoughts as we watch. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
From the front office to the face-off circle, Be a GM puts you in total control of your team's destiny, on and off the ice. Start your Be a GM career with the current NHL team's roster and shape the future of your favorite franchise, or mastermind a new squad through the fantasy draft and hit the ice with the lineup of your dreams. From there, it's on you to bring success to your franchise. Manage your team's contracts to stay under the salary cap. Call up and send down players, and edit your rosters and lines to ensure you have the right mix of talent on the ice. If things aren't working out, take action and improve your roster through free agency or crafty trades to score the right personnel for the job.
Oh my god, EA. They tried to simulate the Phil Kessel trade to Pittsburgh in the offseason. And it's clearly, look how unrealistic this is. The trade value is so much, it's clearly in favor of Pittsburgh. It looks like it's almost double. And then they go on, oh, this is a really good deal for us in Pittsburgh, so we definitely are saying yes to this one. I hope you know what you're doing. The fuck you doing, Brendan Shanahan? And then Kasperi Kapanen over there is losing his mind because he just went from potentially playing with Sidney Crosby, Malkin, and Kessel to playing with Dion Phaneuf, JVR, Tyler Bozak, Lupul. Oh my god. Anyway, let's continue.
All of these options are available for both your NHL and AHL affiliate teams.
Alright, so as I said before, EA is bringing back the ability to control your AHL squad, so it's not a new feature by any means, but now you can once again manage your AHL squad's roster and have a little bit more influence over the progression and growth of your prospect pool who's playing on that AHL team. So I like that. It was missing from NHL 15, so I'm glad to see it back in NHL 16. Next.
Every good GM knows that the future of their franchise is just as important as its present. So be sure to scout effectively and draft young stars to keep your talent pool deep. Choose the region, player position, and duration of your scout's next assignment and arm yourself with as much info as possible on next year's draft class. But being a GM is about more than just netting the best players. It's about building a team that gels just as well off the ice as on it. And that all comes to life courtesy of NHL 16's new player morale system. Each player on your NHL and AHL teams comes with a different personality you'll have to manage.
So the scouting they've hyped up here, but we can clearly see that it's nothing different from NHL 15, so I don't know why they're bringing so much attention to it, but the real deal here is the introduction of the new player morale system. So as EA puts it, being a GM in NHL 16 is about more than just getting the best players, it's about getting the right players to play well together. So every player on an NHL or AHL team has a unique personality that you will have to manage. You must deal with trade demands, teammate relationships, and more by calling team meetings or adjusting your roster to directly affect your team's on-ice performance. And this is the most important change that I think that's happened to GM mode, is that in past GM modes, each player had a set overall, and the only way to influence that overall rating was by capitalizing on players' given potential and having them grow. So now it seems that players' performance will vary depending on their morale. So for example, Phil Kessel's morale was probably very low last year and might have contributed to his lackluster performance. So you could say that his overall dropped from a 90 at the start of the year to maybe an 85 during the peak of his cold streak. However, after his trade to Pittsburgh, now he might jump back up to a 90 overall, and over the course of the year, he could see his overall jump as high as maybe 92 or 93 because he may produce a lot more points because he's happier and has a higher morale skating on a line with Crosby. So I think this adds another layer of depth when managing your rosters, because even if you trade for a Kessel or a Tyler Seguin on your team, Kessel might be unhappy and play like an 85, whereas a Seguin might thrive on your team and play like a 93, even though when you trade for them, they might both be 90 overall players. So a 90 is not a 90 is not a 90. I think that dynamic should be really interesting. Trading might also be influenced by player morale. So for example, if a player is very unhappy on your team and wants out, this may lower their trade value, and teams might not be willing to give up as much for that player because they know he wants out of your team. So very interested by this. But anyway, let's continue.
Deal with trade demands, teammate relationships, and more by calling team meetings and making roster adjustments to directly affect your team's on-ice chemistry and performance.
So team meetings is also a new feature kind of built into the player morale system, but basically it allows the user to interact with the team based on almost 30 different key events that can happen to a team in a season, such as being on a winning streak, playing a rival, facing elimination in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Each of these team meetings and the speech you choose to give to the players based on that meeting will impact the players on the team based on their personality type and the situation. So again, although this is a new feature, it seems to be very similar to what NHL 14 had in Live the Life, where you got to answer the media's questions during pregame or postgame interviews. So in this case, a certain event will trigger a team meeting, and the decisions you make will influence each individual player's morale once the meeting is over. So I think this is a good idea, but in NHL 14, there was a heavy repetition of questions as your season went on. So for me, I started to learn which answer would get me the best result, would get me the best reaction by my fans, family, etc. So my hope is that this system in NHL 16 doesn't become as predictable as I found it to be in Live the Life. Nonetheless, I'm interested in seeing how this actually plays out.
Remember, it takes the right mix of clever roster moves, savvy coaching, and effective player management to highlight your team's strengths and hide their weaknesses.
I couldn't help but notice this when I was watching it. What the fuck kind of beard is that on Seguin? Like, it looks so trash, so greasy.
Every club's road to the cup starts in the front office. Whether you build a dud or a dynasty is up to you.
So that's basically the extent of the trailer that they released. But one additional thing that I found that they left out was the in-game sim intervention feature, which was confirmed to be brought back into NHL 16 from NHL 14. It was left out of 15, so once again you can now actively simulate each game, and you'll be able to see games unfold in front of you, and you can jump into the game if things start to get out of hand. So I'm very happy this is back. I know me and a lot of other fans love using this feature to bring a little more depth to their GM modes and allow players to know who's playing well or poorly on a day-to-day basis, and can base their GM decisions off of that rather than just seeing, oh, I won a game, I lost a game, I won in overtime, but you don't know what were the contributing factors to your success. So I'm really glad this is back, and yeah, I mean, so basically GM mode as a whole can be summed up in this comment here. So it's the same as last year, except you can control the AHL team, and there's the new player morale system, and as I mentioned just there, the in-game simulation intervention feature. So I'm cautiously optimistic about NHL 16's Be a GM, but we will see how it plays out. So basically that's all I had for this video. If you guys want to share some of your thoughts, maybe I missed something, drop them in the comment section below. Be sure to stay tuned to the channel, make sure you're subscribed, and thanks for watching. And meatballs, I'll see you in the next one.